The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you different.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 75 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Diana LaGrassa. Diana is a certified life coach who specializes in trauma and addiction. She also has a ton of spiritual experiences and has had them and is very tapped in, right? So, Diana, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Absolutely. And so, I always like to start in the beginning. Sorry, I had my volume down, but okay. So so I always like to start in the beginning. Like when you were little. I know you had a lot of experiences when you were little, and I don't know if that's what contributed to you being so open. But I mean, you could run us through it. So when you were little, were you already experiencing things, or was it because of certain traumas that then things started to unfold?
Yeah, I believe it was I experienced all the traumas that I experienced, and that is what initially kicked in my empath abilities.
Mm,
Except for as a child, I didn't understand what this was. It would show up in the shape of mood swings and, constantly people telling me, oh, you're a drama queen. You're just trying to get attention. No, I'm just trying to understand what's going on with myself. Like, one minute I'm happy, laughing, the next minute I'm crying or angry, and I just didn't understand why.
mm.
Um, I was able to walk up to a house and know if anybody was home before I even knocked on the door.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can walk into a home if the front of the house is empty. I could walk straight to the room that the person that's there is in.
Mm.
It's just until my 30s, I didn't know what that was.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't even know that there was a name for it. So I felt like a freak. I didn't know to tell anybody what was going on with me or whatever. Also, when I was 14, I got hit by a car.
Mm,
2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks before it happened, I had a dream about it. And with the help of my angels and knowing about it, like I was able to relax my body when the car hit me. And I only had a broken shoulder and some scrapes. And that was it. I was 110 pounds. I should have been dead
mm.
or severely injured, but I wasn't. Like, and so there's just been times in my life where I know I've been protected. I know I've been guided. And I can look back at it now and I feel just so tapped in and so blessed to realize that that's what's going on with me. Like I'm definitely multidimensional, and I always couldn't understand why. Like I have multiple things I'm good at, and people are always giving me crap. Or I've worked multiple jobs, and it's like society frowns upon that. So I kind of let that like put me down in a way. But now I'm stepping into a new light, stepping into a new me, where I can see where all these things are because I am a multi-dimensional being.
Mm.
Like I can channel now like nobody's business. And like it's amazing to see that now as the blessing that it is, instead of wondering why I was always so different from everybody else. Why, like everything I seem to pick up, I could get it like that.
Yeah.
It's real easy for me,
No,
and I can
absolutely.
adjust.
And just to go back a little, so when that car hit you, where were you going, or what? Were you just walking in the street and it just?
Yeah, I was going. I was where I was living. There was two malls across the street from each other, and I was at one, and a girlfriend of mine was at another. And someone told me that somebody was jumping her. Like this group of people were jumping her, and she was pregnant. So I was with my boyfriend at the time and his best friend. My boyfriend took off across the street in front of me, and his best friend was behind me, and had to watch it all happen.
Mm.
So it was just, yeah, it was crazy. The car had run a red light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. But I knew, like, as soon as I seen that car out of the corner of my eye, the whole dream flashed before my eyes, and I just dropped. Like, I let my whole body just go limp.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow. So if you hadn't had that dream, then if you probably wouldn't have had that reaction, right?
Mm-mm, not at all. I would have froze and just been stiff and rigid,
Yeah.
not knowing what to do.
Wow, that's
And I
a
got lucky, like, there was an off-duty paramedic driving by at the time too,
oh
so
wow.
he stopped and helped until 911 got there.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And
But
so you didn't black out or anything like that when that happened?
oh, I did. I did.
Okay.
When I came to, the paramedic told me, "Oh, sweetheart, whatever you do, you've been in an accident, don't look down." So what did I do? I looked down and there's my shoulder bone just hanging out.
Ooh,
The whole world to see. And I just passed right back out. And then I remember waking up in the hospital and that was it.
wow. And during that experience, you don't remember if you went anywhere or anything like that?
Nope, I don't.
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I know that, like, in my dreams, I have gone places before, just by the dreams that I've had. They're very different, and I also have been psychically attacked in my dreams as well. People trying to pull me from my dreams. It was a really weird feeling, and it still gives me like chills to this day.
No, no, I've experienced all that, so I got you. No, I like even me when I was 16 was when I had because I've always thought like I know I didn't have an NDE or but unless it was that one, right? Like when
Hmm.
I was 16 and the same, I knocked out and when I
Yeah,
came to, like I guess I couldn't move from my waist up and there was blood everywhere. And a friend
yeah,
was putting his shirt like on my forehead because that's where I got like my scar and stuff from like my head, I guess, busted open. But yeah, no, I was just curious if you remember anything from that. So at what age did you finally start embracing, like, you noticing all these abilities and all this? So when did you finally start?
37.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it
Y-
wasn't until I was 37. I'm 43 now.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you just like, so, but you were experiencing things all through your life and you just never really like, okay.
To me, it was so normal and natural. But at the same time, I kind of knew not to ask anybody else about it because it wouldn't, like, I'd be viewed as crazy.
Yeah.
So it was weird. It was like I knew but didn't know.
Mm,
But I definitely like have left myself breadcrumbs throughout life.
absolutely. So what was that moment, the turning point where you were like, okay, you know what? I'm ready to basically come out and say like, yeah, this is me. I experienced all this and
I was actually in my coaching class.
oh wow.
Uh yeah, and I've been to self-help meetings. I'm an addict. I now I don't use or anything and haven't for a long time. But going into that coaching class to really, get an understanding in that coaching course, it really worked around the 12 steps.
Mm,
And you always hear about a higher power. But I would always push that off because my grandma kind of pushed religion on me growing up.
hmm
And I always rejected it because I knew in my heart that I never had to go to walk into a building to worship God or to have a relationship with God. But until that class, I didn't really grasp what having that relationship meant. And we were given assignments to help, foster that relationship with a higher power. And that's when everything really kicked into gear for me, was fostering that relationship and opening my mind to the gifts that I knew somewhere in my heart I had. I've always been attracted to witches and vampires, like anything, you know, supernatural, and always been drawn towards Wiccan traditions, anything to
mm.
do with nature, stuff like that. But so, anyways, kind of went on a little tangent there.
No,
But
no, you're fine. So is that
to
what you
bring it back,
practice?
like, yeah, like, well, no, I kind of have my own just practice that I do. I pull from different places. Again, I'm sure that has to do with me being multidimensional and really embracing that part of myself because I do use tools of divination like tarot cards, pendulums, things like that. I recently discovered that my heart is actually my very own pendulum. I
Mm.
can ask and I get question or answers. And it's pretty neat. That just developed a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's beautiful. And yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah.
cut you off, so you go ahead and cut
No, no, no.
what you
You're
were.
good. Oh, just the when it kicked in was just really embracing that relationship with
Mm,
my higher power and trusting myself to make a proper decision on who my higher power is or what that means to me.
mm. So what do you feel now? Like what conclusion have you came to in regards to that?
Um, it's we're all one. We are all having different experiences of the same existence. And I feel like we're coming into an age where unconditional love is going to be the norm instead of, shame and hiding who we really are.
Mm,
And I hope to be on the forefront of helping people into that. I'm really
absolutely.
excited.
No, absolutely. That's beautiful. I mean, now we can talk about however, whatever, because I know there were certain messages that you feel that you've been guided to share. So
Yeah,
you can.
actually, I did. I received an amazing download yesterday regarding like where we're headed business wise and our working economy. And they said, my guide said, to be successful in the new earth energies for businesses and companies, doesn't matter what size. These are things that you're going to want to consider and really work towards to have a business that's going to thrive in a loving, caring, compassionate manner where people actually want to be there and be the employee of that company. The first one was give employees more freedom to be themselves. For example, how they dress. Who cares if somebody wants to wear sweats to work? If that's what they're going to be comfortable in, let them show up as themselves because they're going to work better for you. They're going to be in a better mood to kind of push people away from, appearances aren't everything. And I feel like these days, a lot of businesses lose out on good employees that would be amazing fits for their companies because they're too busy focused on the external instead of what that person can actually bring to their company.
Hmm.
So, uh, yeah, oh yeah, it gets better.
No.
Trust employees to do their jobs no matter what past experiences you've had with irresponsible employees. So just because you've had employees that will milk the clock or, take advantage, or you see that they take advantage, whatever the case may be, let all that go. Make space for this new workplace that's going to help your company and your business flourish. So, yeah, I feel really good about these ones. Pay your employees according to their worth, not according to a set upon scale enforced by government. There needs to be honesty within this pay system, and greed cannot be present with the employer nor the employee. So this would help companies break away from societal norms for one, and start creating a workplace where people are actually honestly, genuinely paid their worth. So if you're going to pay your employees their worth, they're not going to want to work a little bit because they're going to want to get that money. And it's not going to be like a traditional raise system like we see now within, businesses and companies. It's
Mm,
going to be, and lack is not going to be an issue. So companies aren't going to be, they're not going to be saying, oh, well, I can't pay you that much. I can't pay you what you're worth because I myself am lacking. Like that won't be an issue. So companies will be able to pay their employees their actual worth, and minimum wage won't have to be a thing anymore. But it's going to have to be a system that's based completely on trust. You know, you got to trust your employer to step up and pay you what you're worth. But you, as an employee, have to step up and work that worth consistently. So there's going to have to be honesty there. Be understanding of people's time for self-care, family activities, and other important events. Remember, happy employees make good employees. If your employees don't feel like their position is threatened due to choosing to be present in life, which life, or oh, sorry, choosing to be present in life when life requires it, they are 100% more likely to be a good and loyal worker. How many times have you yourself, had a job where you had to call in because, XYZ happened? And in your mind, in your heart, is something that's very important to you. But then your employer, you feel threatened that you're not going to have your job anymore if this happens too many times. If you get rid of that feeling of not accepting your employees are going to have things in their lives that come up, and be supportive of that. Like, it's just, it would create such a better flow in relationships between employee and employer, if that makes sense.
No, it all makes sense, but like, you know, I don't know. Do you feel this is something they're showing you where we're heading, or this is something
Yes,
that we
yes,
should? Okay, you think that it would eventually get to that point?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And
Just
that's why I'm being asked to share this message, to start planting the seeds for people to see that there can be a better workforce and still meet everybody's needs involved.
but see, I feel like it could always be like that, but it's
Mhm.
individuals that, for example, I've experienced both, right? I've experienced the corrupt business, and I've experienced like that, like the lazy employee. Like, I worked the job once, right? And it was like really easy, right? It was like a job, 8-hour days. I worked in the returns department. It was when computers were still selling everyone was buying still all these computer parts, right? And so I would finish my work in 3 hours. I just had my manager. It was me and my manager in our department, and that was it. I would finish my work in 3 hours, and I would tell him, "Hey, what do I do?" And then he'll be like, just take a nap." And I'll like sleep for 5 hours. So, I'd go in the next room, and I would just do, like, I was doing like 1,000 push-ups a day just to try to, like, so I got really strong and everything, like doing that. And I was in the returns department, and eventually I got bored. So I started going to I was helping the warehouse, going to make deliveries, going to put all the money in the bank. I was like, so this company had 3 buildings, and my manager hated it. He got mad because it made him look,
Of
it was like,
course.
yeah, if I finish the work in 3 hours, then what has he been doing for all these years that he was working at that company? See, now it made
But
him look.
then that where it falls in, that's where people need to learn to let go of past experiences. Just because you can do something that fast doesn't mean that I could do it that fast.
No, but it
Slow.
was like him just milking the clock. You see, so as a
Yeah.
company, how can, so now it looks like someone that's like not truthful, right? To me, that's a huge thing
Yeah.
in this life. Like the truth, that's something that's been emphasized to
Yeah.
me spiritually, like in this
Oh
world.
yeah.
Yeah, truth is everything, right? Like, you could harm so many
It
people by dishonesty. And so eventually, though, see, that was my good karma or dharma, however you want to call it, because I think it was after 9/11, all the whole business went down, and they had 3 buildings, and they had to close down 2 buildings, let go of all those employees. And even on our building, they let go of all the warehouse people, and then they just kept me. I was like the only one, me and one other guy out of, like, I don't know how many employees they had, 30 or something. Like, they let
That's awesome.
everybody go except me and this other guy, because, so then it was
Yeah.
good. Even though my manager didn't like me anymore,
Yeah.
like, as a whole, like, while he's the owners, they really liked me and everything. So see, it's I don't know, I've experienced that, but then I've worked for companies that, yeah,
Good.
they brag about, oh, we made this much money, but you see them slowly, like, as an employee, they'll take away little by little, like, oh, here's 5
Oh
minutes
yeah, I
less.
experienced that this
Yeah,
last job I had.
yeah, it'll be like 5 minutes less, but here's more work. And now, oh, well, we're cutting back another 5 minutes, but here's more work. Like, when I
Yes.
worked for
Yes.
UPS, they did that, and they would brag every year about, oh, we made 60 million or something like that. And it's like, huh? So I've seen both aspects. I've worked with
Oh,
people that,
definitely.
yeah. At UPS, you kind of don't have a chance to slack off because it's such a fast pace. So that one does fall more on the companies that want to milk every last, like,
Yeah.
breath you have, right? Like, they
And
want
it's
to,
usually the larger companies that are like that.
yeah. It's,
Mm,
it's very,
definitely.
yeah. But
Uh,
no, I mean, that's beautiful that you've been asked to share that message. I guess I just say that to
oh,
say,
there's more.
no, okay, we'll get. So I'll just share this last thought about that. Like, see, for me, it's just our human interactions that, like, one day someone told me, just make sure you would hire yourself. So whenever I worked at a job, that's how I worked. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. I gave would I hire me? And if I would, then okay, then I was good, right? So I would always give that, but I didn't see the same in a lot of other people. Also, see, when it comes to being late, see, at a place like UPS, if you were late, the machines were running. And if you were late, it messed it up for everybody. So see, there's certain places that I understand there is no room to be late. So I would understand because it was union, the union protected people, which was beautiful. But there were people with like 100 late. And once I went to management, I was like, why can't I fire this person? They're like, well, because you got to go through all the pay. I was like, what? Like, this is insane. Like, how can you not get rid of someone that's been late 100 times? They mess things up for everybody.
Yeah, things have gotten so backwards in a
Yeah, so
lot of places.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to, I guess, really understand if that's really the message they're giving. Like, it sounds beautiful to be like very embracing of like, oh, you're late, I'm gonna give you another chance and another chance and another, but to what point? You know, because that's kind of
Yeah.
like just from my human
Well,
experience.
and that's when the trust system comes in. Don't be the employee that takes advantage of that, because yeah, at that point, that employer is going to choose to let you go. And there needs to be more freedom there too, for, you know, a safe place where an employee, if they feel attacked or being wronged in any way, that it can be brought to the table in a cool, calm, loving manner, and vice versa. If the employer has a problem with the employee's behavior, within reason, like, that's where the trust and the working from a heart-centered space is
Mm,
really going to come in. Like, this won't work with 3D businesses and companies. It's just not going to. They won't be able to grasp any of it.
absolutely. Yeah, so I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead and
Yeah, no, you're good.
feel free to
Uh,
share.
Using a reward for boosting the company's name in a positive manner. So basically, like, if you're putting in the work and you're coming up with ideas and you're helping your company out, like, reward those employees for that. Encourage it, because a lot of companies now, they'll say they encourage, bringing ideas to the table, but when you do, they see you as a threat. Next thing you know, you're gone. I've already experienced this.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, being rewarding an employee for doing a consistently good job, all of the while refraining from punishing those who make it frequent mistakes. This will be good for building a healthy working relationship and encourage employees to do and be their best. So at my last job, like, it was a motor company and we pumped out a lot of motors. But the way that the employees are treated there are like machines, and they're never like, you never hear good job, good job, good job. Never. When a person is doing, even I would see people do and go above and beyond and be exceptional at their work, and they were still getting cracked on. That does not make people want to work better for you. That's going to make them hate you. And then you get into a whole nother level of, energy. You're putting that energy on your product that you're sending out there into the world. So the people that are receiving that product are now stuck with your employees' bad energy because you can't run your company in a loving, caring manner. I mean, like, it can go for days that way. Just like, especially for chefs.
yeah,
You
that
don't
one.
want mad people working in your kitchen. You want to be spreading that love. You want people to come back. And so always, and again, it comes back to employees not taking advantage of that. It all is going to boil down to trust and working from a heart-centered space. Make sure employees have access to natural healing modalities like Reiki, yoga, meditation rooms, skill and trust building retreats. And then a side note for people who run those retreats, this would be an opportunity for you then to contract with these companies and bring yourself business, all the while, spreading your love and your light. Like, how could that backfire? I'd rather have that accessible to me than medical benefits. And I definitely see the world heading in that direction. So, and then that goes for any other natural healer, for someone like you or I to help other people and still make a profit from it, and not have to, and be able to break away from that matrix 9 to 5. You got to be here at this time and do this and this before you go kind of job.
Yeah, it's it. I mean,
Go
it's
ahead.
it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
I
it's
see
in.
the thoughts forming.
Huh?
I see the thoughts forming.
Well, it's just because, like I said, my experiences have like in my experience, I mean, it sounds beautiful. That's what I'm saying. It sounds beautiful,
Yeah.
but I just don't. There's been something, like I said, I've seen it from the companies and I've seen it from people. It's like
Yep.
I almost feel like, see, luckily, like my parents didn't teach me a whole lot, but they taught me through looking, right? They never sat me down and said, "Oh, look, son, this is what you do, and when you go to a
Yeah.
job, this is how you act," or when
Monkey
you know,
see, monkey do.
yeah. So they actually had a great work ethic. They were very
Yeah.
dependable. It was funny though, because my dad, he even had something that I didn't have. Like he was overly like when people talk about knowing your worth. He worked at a job once that they asked him to sweep, and he quit just because they asked him to
That is
sweep.
awesome. That is my kind of
No,
man.
no, but
Like,
see, I had no problem sweeping because when I was once like in third grade or something, I came into the classroom and left the whole classroom full of mud from the playing in the playground. So the teacher, she's like, "Come here, Owen, come here." And then, okay, and then she's like, "Look, it this is." She showed me how to sweep. So I ended up liking it. I was like, "Okay, fool." So every chance, so he
yeah.
had jobs like, oh, I'll sweep, I'll sweep. Yeah, and I'm over here sweeping a whole freaking warehouse. Like it didn't bother me, but to him, that was like I work at this job to
That
do this.
was beneath him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like you
Yeah.
hired me to do this. I ain't no freaking like you're not gonna put me to sleep
That-
and you
And
know.
that's okay. Either way that you look at that, that's okay. I'm the same way. Like, I don't mind doing the jobs that everybody else hates doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I would be
yeah.
the one to sweep the floor and wipe the counters down and do that kind of stuff, just because I've learned to kind of be comfortable just in my own energy. I do better in a workspace where I'm not around a lot of people because where I live, like, it's all negative energies here. It's
Uh
insane.
no,
Like,
and
I'm
see,
constantly cleaning people and not even realizing it. Like, I naturally do it.
no, and then I mean once you spoke about the energy exchange, that made a million% sense to me. I got what you're saying about that, and that's why I got what you're saying, and I guess because I'm definitely one of those that I feel people need to. That's how we're gonna change the world. People being
Yeah.
accountable, right?
Yeah,
Because even like,
exactly.
yeah, for example, that's always been the difference. Like in indigenous ways, right? In native teachings, it's always been like that. Accountable, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Accountability, and unfortunately, see when native people were pretty much almost taken to the point of extinction when they were being killed, like all that was taken away. And people nowadays think that just because someone won, they were right. You see, so if
Exactly.
I come and I murder like almost your whole population, I must have been the right one because God favored me
Look, yeah,
because
look at Christopher Columbus.
exactly God must have favored him because look at what that's why these religions were able to be imposed on people because it was like, well, they had to be right. But no, it's all
It's all smoke and mirrors.
yeah, and it's all lessons. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's at one point or another, human beings have to pay that toll. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So that's why,
We have to balance the scales.
yeah, I'm big on the accountability. So just that, like, I mean, if human beings, like, I hope you're right. You know, that's why I'm saying that. Like, I hope that people do become accountable to the point where, um, that yeah, hey, you could get to work as long as you do your job and you finish all your stuff. Sure, get to work. You need to take an extra hour to get here, be
Yeah,
late, this and that.
exactly.
That would be
As long
beautiful
as
as
your
long
work's
as
getting done, yeah.
yeah, as long as
Yeah.
people had that accountability. But it's just because I've worked so many jobs where I see people like
Oh, yeah.
I've seen both sides, so that's my whole thing. But I mean,
Yeah,
it
so
sounds like
have
a
I.
beautiful vision,
And
definitely.
that's why I try not to, when I get these downloads, that's why I just write them out as quick as I can. So sometimes they won't completely make sense because I never read through it and tell them to go ahead and share it. Um, I get it out as quick as I can. But the next one was implement a mentor program, training program to steer or bring people like away from having to waste money on a college education.
Mm,
And then you're going to wind up with employees that actually want to be there. They want to learn the craft. They want to learn whatever it is that your business or your company is offering instead of making people go into severe debt trying to figure out what passion they have in life. That should not even be an issue. And personally, like, I know I've gone to see multiple therapists, and I can tell which of my therapists has actually had the experience or they just got the
mm.
book smarts. The ones that have just had the book smarts, I've had to let go because I felt like I was going to traumatize those poor people because they hadn't experienced anything near what I was experiencing. So I think that we should start moving more towards a society where that is the norm instead of people wasting their precious gifts, their time, their money on an education in a field that they're not even going to get a job in. Because those are the ones that are cliquey or they're elite. So unless you know somebody, you're not going to get a job there. And I've known numerous people who have gone to college and gotten, paid for that education, is still to this day paying for that education, and we're in our 40s now
Mm.
to get no fruit from that. Nothing came of it. And it wasn't because they were being lazy or they didn't apply themselves. I watched person after person crumble because of the debt they created for themselves. And for what? Because we live in a society where people say that you have to go to college or you're not smart enough to do this, this, or this. No, 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 no. I was born with God-given gifts and talents. Why can I not apply for a job just because I didn't go to school when I know I can help people? If we break away from that, you're going to have a workforce where people want to be there. You're going to have people who are not walking around drowned in debt and depressed and in low vibrations because they feel like they've wasted their life and their time on something that didn't pan out, that they put their heart and soul into.
I agree. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I agree with that, but I don't feel we can merge with the system the way it is. I would feel that
No, this is
that
going to be
system.
something that people need to start working towards going into the new earth energies. Like there's no way that this will happen in a 3D
Yeah,
place. In a 4D place.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Then maybe I misunderstood in the beginning, because or I don't know, maybe we just hadn't got to that point. But yeah, I definitely don't see it because they created that system like that, like you being in debt, going to school, being in
that
debt.
system needs to crumble.
Yeah,
before this
absolutely,
new system can be born.
absolutely.
They wanted to place these little seeds for people to have hope of where humanity is headed at this point. Daily new people are waking up,
Mm.
and we're getting closer and closer to it shifting into the new world energies, new earth energies. I feel like it's going to be a lot closer than people think. That's just my own personal feeling. I don't know how, I haven't asked anybody else really how they're feeling on that lately, but yeah, I feel like it's a lot closer than we think. My other half pointed out something to me yesterday. The last election, who was in the Super Bowl?
I don't even
When
watch it.
Biden. Yeah, when it was Biden and Trump.
Who was in the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember.
The 49ers and the Chiefs.
Oh, and why is that significant?
I don't know. I have a feeling that we're gonna find out though, because it's the new election this year. Like, so I feel like something happened when we jumped into that timeline, and we're being given a chance to redo that as a collective.
Oh, why they're in the Super Bowl again?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was okay. I was like,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
See,
They're in the Super Bowl again.
okay. See,
And this year is the election.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how this is going to play into it, because I feel like it's going to be one of those Mandela effects.
Mm.
Because this time around things are going to go differently
Oh, I got you.
than they did the previous timeline that we were on. So I'm curious to see what happens with this year's elections and events to follow.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that a little, because I understand what you're talking about. But anybody that doesn't, that might be watching this and maybe they're confused, like, time. Why are they talking?
Yeah.
What are they talking about timeline? So I get that. So explain, maybe even the first experience when you were first shown, or why you call yourself a multi-dimensional being, and what you were shown in regards to that.
Okay. Okay, but when I saw the timelines the first time, is that the
Yeah,
experience you're talking
yeah.
about? Okay. So, the beginning of this year, no, it was beginning of last year, sorry, speaking of beginning of the year, it went by so fast. My guides had showed me basically everybody in our group's timeline, but I was able to see everybody's timeline switch, like the direction that they're going to path that they're going to take to get to where they're going. Every decision that they would make, the picture would change. But then when I would back out and look at it from a whole picture view, I could see the new earth and how everybody's timelines played out in this. And there's no space. I noticed, actually, now I really noticed that every time a person would make a choice that didn't vibrate with the new earth, their energy would disappear.
Mm, that's sad.
So crazy. Like, I didn't even realize that before, but yeah, that must have been what was happening. So yeah, like I feel like office hands were not supposed to change when they did. And that's why I feel like we're being given another chance to redo that timeline because it was a timeline that was taken from us, basically. Taken outside of our free will. So we're being given an opportunity to redo it. I
No,
love
and
it when these things.
I don't know if you've ever seen that image where there's like all these, kind of shadowy looking figures, or you could tell like these
Oh
corrupt
yeah,
type. They're like on, and there's like a chessboard or something, and the people are under it. All they got to do is stand up and like,
yeah,
mess their game up. And I felt, see, that's the thing, is like, I know I'm aware of all these things that they do, and but
yeah.
humans, it's like
Oh,
they
I
really,
can pick systems apart all day long.
yeah. But and it's funny that that's all we have to do is like like when I was in the military, right? Like it was funny because when you're going through boot camp, they really put fear in you, right? Like they make you
Oh
feel
yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. And so it was funny when it was about to end, one of the drill instructors was like, because technically you're still not in, like, but we're not. We felt like they almost make you believe that once you're in boot camp, you're already part of it. So they own you already. Like, oh, if you get out of
yeah,
this, like, we're gonna put you in military prison or something. Like, they just kind
yeah,
of make you feel that. But at the end, he was like, if you guys wanted to get out, all you had to do was refuse to train. That's it. And what could we do? We can't like beat the living crap out of you. Like, all you had to do was refuse to train. You would have been discharged. Like, and that would have been it. And we were like, everyone was like with their mouth open, like maybe not literally, but you could see
so
everyone's eyes. Everyone was like, dude, all we had to do was like, you know what I mean? It was crazy. Yeah.
as you're saying this, like if you think about it, what is the devil's tool?
Fear or
What does the army induce? What does the service induce in people to get them to fight?
oh, fear. Well, hate, fear, like
We just broke down one of the devil's biggest tools in a matter of seconds.
oh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's all it.
That and using TV,
Oh, absolutely.
social media. That's why I
Absolutely.
quit watching TV over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, being an empath too, it's hard to see the news and I can't watch blood. And it's funny because as a kid, scary movies were my favorite movies. They didn't bother me. Now not so much. I'm like a little sissy. If it's got blood, guts, and gore, count me out. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
I still watch it, but the news really, I can't watch it without feeling like irritated.
it, yeah,
Well,
because it's all lies.
yeah, well, you could tell the agenda. Well, look at when I was in college, I took a news writing class, and it was
Mhm.
funny. We all got the same news from one source. That's why I remember when there was a video circulating about like 20 news anchors and they're all saying the same thing or more. I forgot. And they're like, they just worded it slightly different. So that's in the news.
Yeah,
That's how it was. There was this thing, this board, and you look on there and you're looking for the news, and then you just kind of make it your own. But everyone was getting the same news from one source. So it wasn't like
yeah,
you think back in the days when every news reporter was out there.
Yeah, getting their own stories.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't. It was like on this thing. It was coming down the feed, and you just select. You get your little sound bite or things like that. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
so everyone's just saying the same. No one has a spin
Yeah.
on their.
Well, and just like doctors, they're being told by their mentors and whoever's in charge there, which if you follow everything, everything leads back to the same system. But we're not going to get into that right now. But they're just following what they're being told by the people above them. They're not actually thinking for them. Some of them do think for themselves, and some of them are catching on and realizing that the world is starting to shift in a different direction as far
Mm,
as healthcare goes. But it falls down to programming. It's time to wake up, people. If you pay attention to the school day, you go to school for a couple hours, you get your little recess. You go back to class for a few more hours, you get your lunch, and then back to class, and then you get your recess, and then a little while later you go home. What does the average human's work day look like?
yeah, exactly the same. Yeah,
Exactly the same, because we are being programmed from the time we are children
to just be
to
workers
a
and
matrix that we have no business being a part of. None.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I like this conversation because I've seen that New Earth like for I forgot when it started happening. I think probably after my brother passed away, I started having them a lot, right? And I
Mhm.
seen, yeah, it was just beautiful, right? And there was a group, and I was in the front, not to say I was leading, but I mean, I was just in the front, right? We're walking on this path, everything was amazing. When I look back, everyone was, and it was all these different, right? Everyone, all shades of color and all this, that, and it was
Yeah,
beautiful. And
that's
that was the
awesome.
one we were just on this path. But even the city, right? Like on the right was like the city, but it looked brand new, like gold. It was the sun was reflecting off it. It almost looked golden.
Or
Yeah, it was beautiful. And then on the left, the nature was so green. And I remember there was this hybrid wolf,
yeah,
right? There was a wolf with antlers. And then I looked it up. There's actually a native story of a wolf with antlers. I couldn't believe it. But in this
that's
vision, it was
awesome.
there. Yeah, it was beautiful. And then on another vision, we got to this like the coast, and it was like just the water. You can't even describe it with like human words, right? Everything was just amazing.
Yeah.
The sand, everything was just beautiful. So I don't know. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I really don't know if we were going somewhere else or if. Yeah, so that was the strange part.
It sounds to me like you get the same kind of, but yours comes in a dream form. Mine are thoughts or visions that just pop in my head. I actually have not been able to dream for the last year, and it's driving me crazy.
Oh,
But yeah, it sounds like you're being shown the possibilities of what the new earth can bring,
yeah, yeah.
the promises that have been made to us for sticking it out, walking our path, being brave.
But to me, wow. See, okay, I can explain it to you because to me, it's not so much a future or because when I'm experiencing this, it's almost like because even that, right? When I see things, I'm there because even when I
Yeah,
wake up, I feel it, right? I
you're
was just,
astral traveling.
yeah, exactly. So because okay, even that, one of my first things I got was like the premonition. So it was like, how can I see the future unless somewhere it already existed? Like to me,
Yeah,
that's and I've always given that, and I know I don't like to sound like a broken record, but I've been starting to say this more and more so people could understand. It's like a book, right? Like a book, just because you don't read it, if it's there, it's not going to change the beginning, the middle, or the end. The book is there, you
yeah,
just haven't read it yet. So I almost feel
yeah,
like when I go over there, I just took a look at the book real quick, and then boom, I come back into this body, right? And I know I don't
yeah,
like to say that because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, free will doesn't exist. But maybe I'm just seeing like how you see, I'm seeing all the possibilities. So
yeah.
I'm seeing the possibilities. Yeah. Well, look at this. Could be that. Because I've also seen
Mhm.
other ones when there was destruction. So maybe, like you
Yeah,
said,
so
that
have
means,
I. I just
yeah,
got
yeah.
another vision the other day of a war field.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the first time it came in a dream, and this was probably 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, it was a pretty intense dream. I was um working in like a promenade area, and my family had come to see me, so I went out to go sit down, eat lunch with them. But when I got out there, the whole world had broken out in just chaos, and there was
Mm.
bombs going off everywhere. And I had somehow stolen a van to go drive to my place where I lived. And when I had gotten there, there was automatic weapons set up with tripwires and stuff on them. And at the time, that it felt so real, like I was there experiencing it at that moment. So I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell if it's a premonition, a vision, or just like a warning of what may come if things don't head a different direction on our planet.
Exactly. And see, yeah. And I see, and that's why I've always, a lot of the things I've seen, I didn't want to say them because I didn't want people to think I'm trying to induce fear. I think it's, see,
Yeah.
so I like it because now, yeah, it's just kind of like, because a lot of times, well, most of the time, my premonitions are pretty accurate, but that they're possibility. We can still technically change it,
Yeah.
but it's like, if not, it's like they're possibilities. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
last
exactly.
night I
So
actually had one
warning.
of those, and it was crazy because the whole sky was on fire from the amount of bombs going off. But it was actually like an alien invasion, and it looked beyond any like Hollywood. You know, Hollywood tries to make.
I wonder if it has to do with the solar flares that have been coming in.
Oh, I didn't even know solar flares were coming in, so that's interesting.
Oh
But
yeah, that's why the energies are raising so much right now on the planet,
oh wow,
because we're
wow,
getting bombarded with solar flares, and then the other night we had a star that blew up.
oh wow, yeah. See,
Pretty cool.
I didn't even know any of that. But these ships
Yeah.
look like so mean, like it was crazy. There was so much detail in the spaceship. It was like, even I'm not even Hollywood could make something like that. It was so
Oh wow.
just deep. Yeah, it was just like these massive spaceships, and they were, and I was like, in the community I was in, I was just like, and it was funny because when I woke up, I still had that thought, like, damn, I should have stored up more ammunition. That was my first thought. Like, I was like, damn, I should have had more. Yeah, I was like, damn, I had a gun and I had,
Like, wait, never mind. I'm awake now.
yeah, but see, I woke up
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's
oh,
crazy.
I was like, damn, I need to go, like, and it almost made me like, I need to go get that. But see, I don't want to say that for all like I know everybody's, but hey, like,
No,
that's kind.
I get that that's your guides, like lighting a fire under your butt.
Yeah, that's what yeah, because I've been getting that preparedness. Because the other day we had
Because
an
yeah,
earthquake.
we need to be prepared. Something is coming. I can feel it coming, but I don't know what it's going to show up as, but I know that things are definitely going to get shook up here in this year.
Yeah, and then
We're definitely ready for some changes.
yeah, no, and I remember like it was like I knew I there in the place I was in there was a basement, but it was like, nah, there's no point in us just waiting because they're coming. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there were so many ships and everything was
Dang.
on fire, the whole sky. And then I was like, well, we can't take the car because I had like maybe 20 people with me. I was like, the roads are gonna be blocked. Everyone's trying to escape right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're going on foot. So I was like, everybody get your stuff, get whatever you can. Boom, boom. I think we had kids with us too. So it was like
Hmm,
we just had to get out of there. And
that's crazy.
yeah. So when I woke up, it was very real. It was like, so that's why maybe it's an alternate I would hope it's an alternate reality.
Yeah,
That's what
definitely.
I
I
would
don't, yeah, I would hope so.
yeah. But let's no, because I
But
keep
yeah,
interrupting
dreams
you.
can be very, yeah, no, you're good. I love where our conversation has headed, definitely. Um, Dreams can be amazing. Like I said, I've been really frustrated because I don't know what's blocking my dream,
Uh,
because I used to dream constantly to the point where when I enjoyed it so much that I would like force myself to stay asleep sometimes because I'd be having so much fun in my dreams. I'm like, nope, don't want to get up yet, not leaving. But I don't know why I've been blocked off from my dreams.
Um, I mean, why isn't your sleep schedule a little like different too, or
It was for 3 month or yeah, 3 months. I was working overnight, but that has ended. They
oh,
they let me go. Yeah, they let me go just before my 90 days was up through the temp agency, which I was really upset because it was good money, but definitely it's a blessing in disguise because since then I've been able to start my channel on YouTube and I have the energy to put into doing it. So
oh,
I feel like
absolutely, and I'll make sure to link your account so people can find you as well.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because so you get messages pretty consistently, like
Yes. On a daily basis.
okay, And you'll be sharing all of this on the channel as well, right?
Yes, right now I'm in the process of reading a book that I wrote, just
Oh,
trying to help people open their eyes to some of the systems that, take place around us.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
beautiful
I
because
felt called to share it that way instead of paying people to pay for the knowledge.
uh,
Just put it out there. It's already written. Why not?
no, absolutely, absolutely. Um, do you want to talk like as a life coach? You still offer those services, right? The life coaching.
Yes, I do. I do.
So
I
what,
can
like,
do both.
in what ways? What's one of the main things, like, where, in what ways do you help people?
I My passion is inner child work because it can be done in, a very safe space where a child can open up. And for me, that's where it all begins, is in our childhood when we didn't feel safe and secure and felt we needed to develop coping mechanisms to survive. Um, so that's my favorite part of coaching, is helping people with inner child work, helping them rediscover that magic within themselves that they didn't, we've been taught to believe it doesn't exist anymore. We're taught to doubt it.
Absolutely.
So I,
No, no, I think that's the most important thing. Like, just the fact that you said that, I think that's probably, if not the most important thing, one of the most important things, realizing that the things we have, a lot of traumas are from our childhood,
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, our programming starts before we even come out of the womb. And it goes until we're about between 5 and 7, depending on the child, depending on the mind. Um, and this is where our coping mechanisms are born. This is where our addictions are born.
mm,
So, yeah, if I would love to dive deeper into it, like just where, addiction, especially addiction, because we're taught to hate those darker parts of ourselves, to hide them, to be ashamed of them. We don't need to be. Those are scars and wounds that we're carrying from childhood. Those are the tools that we felt necessary to use to get ourselves through whatever darkness we were going through. And nobody should ever shame themselves for that.
mm,
We do the best we can with what we have in any given moment.
absolutely, yeah. No, you brought back a flashback right now, like, when I was little. I remember because, you know, I mean, I'm good. I could turn it off, but sometimes it will come out, right? Like, I'll cuss a
Yeah.
lot, right? I'll say like a lot of bad
Yeah.
words. And I remember when I was little, my my uncle and my aunt and my grandpa were right there, and they were drinking, and I was playing with my cousin, and they stopped me because they all spoke Spanish, so they wanted me to tell them bad words, and I didn't want to. It didn't feel right, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially my parents were very big on respect, right?
Yeah.
My dad heard me like, even that. I mean, I know it was kind of cruel, but like, I remember telling like an adult something once, and then my dad just came like bam his hand, and it was like, yeah, and I was just like, wow. I mean, he hit me a little freaking hard, but it was still, it's fine. It taught me that was that generation, right? It wasn't like,
Yeah.
it wasn't about like,
Exactly. And being able to see that, that's awesome that you can see that, because that is another key in healing,
yeah,
is being able to understand that while our parents or other people in our life may have done something to hurt us, it's only because of the programming and the way they were raised.
absolutely,
They weren't
absolutely,
taught, they weren't raised in a loving, caring, supportive, compassionate environment
yeah.
that the human soul needs to flourish and feel safe to be authentic.
Well, and then you learn that, like, that's kind of how you handle things too. So
Yeah,
it kind of teaches you.
exactly.
But like, they were. I remember I was going to play with my cousin, and they started asking me to cuss them out in English. They were like, "Oh, tell us these." 'Cause it was funny
Yeah,
to them, right? And here I am, like 7 years old, and I remember I didn't. It felt dirty to me, and I remember
yeah,
even my aunt. She was one of my favorite aunts. I didn't talk to her for years. Like, I just, every time I ignored her because I was mad at the fact. But see now, like, hey, it's like, hey, someone taught me to do that, so it's like, it's funny,
yeah,
like, when you have these, like, if people didn't like the fact that I cuss a lot, it's like, hey, well, when I was little, now I could change that, right? Obviously, but
yeah.
it kind of, when it gets ingrained in you at such a young age.
Oh yeah, I have a mouth like a trucker.
Yeah, exactly. But I could pinpoint the time when it started. That's the funny thing. I remember like they forced me to cuss at them, these adults, because they were
Every
drinking.
word that
Huh?
ever came out of my mouth was shit.
Ah, ha, 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 ha.
So, yeah,
That's funny.
definitely was around some swearing as a kid.
Yeah. That's
But
funny.
yeah, just like that, we pick up so much from our childhood, so
Yeah.
much. And it could be good or bad. My dad's mom, I swear, was an earth angel because I can remember her love just wrapped around me as a baby. And that is a big part of what got me through everything I went through. And my mother's mom. Like, I was blessed to have two of the most amazing grandmothers on the planet that just made sure that they filled me with as much love as they possibly could so I could walk through that darkness and make it
Yeah.
and still come out the other end okay.
Mm.
So it's, it can go either way. I feel incredibly blessed to go through all of the traumas and everything that I have experienced, which started from day one for me. Um, Abandoned by both parents by the time I was 5.
Wow.
And that's just the mild part of the first 5 years. Um, but I was
So
able to walk through that kind of like the phoenix and rise from the ashes, a whole new person that can show the world that it is possible to turn things around. It is possible to experience all of the heartache, all of the pain, and transmute that into something beautiful that can be passed down from generation to generation from here on out. We can't
absolutely.
change the past, but we can definitely change the direction of our future.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, if you, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, because I know, you experienced a lot of things when you were young. So, um, as far as being abandoned, and I think it's important, like because when people know you went through it, you're not just talking because whatever, like you actually went through all
Yeah.
these things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when they abandoned you, who did they leave you with, or?
Well, my mom had me at the time. She had separated me from my father with the guise of he was sexually abusing me. I won't go into details about that because it's not still entirely clear to me, and I don't want to speak something that's not the truth.
Okay.
Um, but at this point, I was with my mother, and she wasn't taking care of me. She was 15 years old when she had
Oh
me.
wow.
So by this time, she was 18. And my mom, I know, faced her own trials and tribulations and still is to this day.
Mm.
So I have completely forgiven her for anything that has transpired. Same with my father. But my aunt took me from her when I was 5 years old. Went through the steps to get guardianship, which if anybody is watching this and somebody you are placed with a child, do not ask that child if it's okay if you have guardianship with them. That is just not okay. They're not old enough to make that decision. And I was left to make that decision at the age of 7. But of course, I was being taken care of at that point, you know, having my basic needs met. But then that all went to shit. I was basically brought into a environment that turned out to be no better than the one I was originally taken from.
Wow.
I was I had 17 sexual abusers by the time I was a teenager.
Wow.
All people who were supposed to love me and protect me and take care of me. So this caused a lot of unhealthy relationships in my life to develop on my part. I can look back now and see where everything that I went through had an effect on every relationship I've ever had, whether it be with a friend, family, or a lover. Like it affected me immensely, and I've had to put a lot of work in there. But so if you're watching this and you've experienced sexual abuse and you're scared to speak up, don't be. It's not your fault. Your abusers will have you believe that it is. It is not. You've done nothing wrong. But be the beautiful soul that you are. So, I get people that ask me that all the time. How do you speak up so freely about everything you've been through? Because if I don't speak up, who's going to show other people that it's safe to? You can speak up. These are things that need to be brought into the light so they can be, weeded out and taken care of. It's also important to remember that your abusers, while they are hurting you, are somebody that has been hurt themselves. And that's where they picked up that behavior.
Mm.
And I used to struggle with, I know right from wrong. I know never to do that to somebody. I made a promise to myself as a child that I would not be the cause of anybody's pain.
Mm.
And I tried to live by that. Because I was hurt so much, I never wanted to be responsible for causing that in anybody else. And, yeah, have I hurt people? Of course. I've been in relationships that didn't work out. I've had family upset with me. But, those are things that we learn and we pick up along the way.
Mm.
But I want people to know that you can go through, walk through the fiery pits of hell and come out the phoenix. Reborn from, things that were supposed to and meant to tear you down from, limb by limb. But I'm still standing here and I'm still strong. And I still refuse to let people dim my light.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So what do you feel is the main reason that you were able to, do you credit it more to like just things you like, being able to talk to people, or was it spiritually more like your spiritual connection that helped you understand
It
that
was my spiritual connection, definitely. Like I can look back and see where I even recognized it, but didn't, consciously recognize it. Like I knew, I've always known I've been protected. Somebody asked me when I was a child, instead of what do you want to be when you grow up, they asked me, what are you going to do when you grow up? And just honest as hell, I just looked at him and said, I'm going to change the world. And here I am, doing my best to set the example of changes that should be made in the world. Doing my best to be brave and be strong and show up authentically. I got bags under my eyes. I've been crying all morning because of a tough situation I'm going through. But those are the things that I feel like people need to see, that it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to be yourself. Be your idea of perfection, not everybody else's.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Oh man. So yeah, I know I feel bad that I'm sure I veered it off in different ways, but any other thoughts that you have, that because I know that you wanted to share a lot of information that you felt guided to share. So
Just stop being scared to think for yourself. Stop being scared that the world is going to crumble if you do something outside of the normal. Embrace it. That's where the magic happens. I always, especially when it came to love, I always thought that it was somebody else's job to love me, not my job to love me. But when you can learn how to love yourself through thick and thin, for better or worse, that's where the real magic happens. So I definitely encourage people to take the time out to care for themselves. Ask yourself why you're hiding the parts of yourself that you hide from the world. Because chances are those are the places, the things about you that the world needs to see. Those are the unique gifts and minds and talents and, whatever the case may be that you brought with you. But we've been taught to dim that.
absolutely. So how do you feel about, because see, I know while we're in these human bodies, like we're actually still battling against biology, for example, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because see, you made me think about like certain situations that I should have walked away from, but biologically and culturally, like as a man, I am wired already to, for example, when I'm in a relationship, I want to provide, protect, comfort, because that's part of my culture and what I saw, and biology too, right? It has all that, right? But see, so even the idea of loving yourself, putting yourself first, I don't know, obviously I can't speak for how a woman feels, right? But I could speak as a man, like even set up, like we definitely culturally, biologically are taught to put ourselves last. So even the idea of,
Exactly.
of loving ourselves, like even in the dream I just had last night, right? My job, even in there, I was trying to get everybody to safety. All right, boom. I snapped into, all right, everybody, boom, 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 boom. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, so things like that. So how, because, even, and I don't know, like after my,
That's one of the systems that needs to be torn down. We are taught to be, selfless, which there's nothing wrong with being selfless. Please do not take this in the wrong way, but self-care and being selfish is the most selfless act you can do. Because if I come into a relationship and my glass is only half full, I only have half for myself. I don't got the other half for somebody else, to share it back and forth. You've got to really be able to set an example too of how you expect to be loved. Everybody's love language is so different.
Mm.
But if you're not loving yourself and giving yourself to the space to be a weirdo, embrace whatever gifts you've been given in this life, like you're selling yourself short. So short. People will come and go. And the ones that are meant to stay there will stay there. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Just don't. And then at the end of the day too, like if you're not being yourself, you're living a lie. That person sitting next to you is loving a lie because you're not showing up 100%. So, and you don't want people in your life that aren't going to be there 100%, that aren't going to love you 100% you. So if people find themselves in relationships or in friendships that you feel are crumbling, don't be sad about it. It's happening for a reason.
Mm. Words of wisdom, huh?
Like that.
No, that was perfect. That was beautiful. I feel like you snapped into life coach mode right there, but it was beautiful. Yeah.
That is my place to shine. I love helping people.
No, absolutely. No, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
guess,
thank you for being on.
yeah, no, and we could definitely, I wanted to start doing lives. So next time, if you have a message or anything, we could do a live, even if it's only 30 minutes or whatever. I want to start getting into that. So where people,
Absolutely.
where people can
Yeah,
actually,
I love interacting. Yeah.
chime in. And yeah, so that, I mean, I had already kind of set it in my head that everything going forward was going to be live, but it's fine. Like, we'll do this and then after going forward, I want to start doing live so people could ask questions and all that. So
Absolutely. I would love that. That'd be
okay,
amazing.
perfect. So thank you, Diana, so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, my honor.
I'm in a rocking chair. Sorry.
No, I wish I had one. But so there's nothing else you want to. Oh, so I'll leave all the links to anyone that wants to get a hold of you for the live coaching or a link to your book.
Yeah,
I'll put all that.
absolutely. It's Waking Up is Hard to Do is my channel on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Wow, I like the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
then absolutely, I can send you the link for my website and my Instagram.
Perfect. And then I'll put all that below. Anyone wants to get a hold of you. And yeah, no, thank you so much. And on that note, we'll end it there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One day pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.